So I quit my job. G'day everyone, Evan Lawson here. I'm a composer and a conductor, and on this channel I often talk about music and, introductions to classical music, giving you new pieces to listen to. But I thought today I'd just talk about something a bit different, my goals and aims for 2026. Now it's February, so I know that I'm late to the game in sharing what I'm thinking for this year. Like, people have probably moved past their New Year's resolutions already and are on to the next thing. But I just wanted to document what I was thinking and what I want to try and achieve and do this year because I quit my job. So I was working a full-time job and then trying to do gigs and have music opportunities on the side. And I worked at a really wonderful workplace. It was in classical music, so I was working as a marketing manager for an organization, which was, fantastic, and I learnt a lot, and I was getting paid really well. But I just had to leave. I was there for 3 years. I just had to get back to more creativity, to find time to write more music, to take on gigs. Working full time, I was not able to do that many projects. Forest Collective, which is like my main project, interdisciplinary chamber orchestra, mixed dance company. You should look us up. We do really cool work. That's my main focus, and it's a big, large, growing organization, and that takes time. And I was doing that all in my spare time, plus trying to find my own gigs, plus trying to write. Something had to give, and I quit my job. I'm in week one. I took a week off and went overseas for a bit, but now this is my first week of sitting at home, figuring out what the next move is. And I'm really busy. I'm answering emails. I've I've not written any music, but I've gone back through the archives and looked back through some pieces which I'm hoping to publish, which I'll get up on my website and everything soon, evanjlawson.com. Just check it out. But yeah, it's been really challenging trying to find this pace again because the last time that I didn't have confirmed work would have been before COVID. So COVID came, I took on a part-time job. Obviously, we were at home the whole time, so what was work, it was all very kind of weird. And after that job, I took this full-time job on because the money looked really, intriguing to me, but also I was curious to know about the organization and to learn more. And yeah, I got a lot out of it. I enjoyed it, but I'm glad to have stepped out of that speed of life and that kind of world where you're fitting your creativity around other obligations, right? And that's really challenging. So I'm really proud of myself to have taken the plunge. Everyone keeps saying how brave I am. It doesn't feel that way. It feels scary and terrifying, but I've done it and I'm here. So anyone out there looking for singing lessons, conducting lessons, composition lessons, I teach online. I have a few online students. I do that quite a lot during my week. My rates are pretty competitive. So if you're interested in working with me directly one-on-one, please do reach out. So that's one of my big goals for the year, is to build up my teaching studio again. As I said, singing, conducting, composition, working with students is really rewarding. It's really satisfying. So if that's something that interests you either here in Melbourne or online, do reach out to me. That is certainly one of my goals this year, is building my teaching studio. My second big goal would be to get more creative gigs. So I've got a couple of conducting gigs later in the year, both of them actually not in Melbourne, which is exciting. I love travel, so getting out of Melbourne will be really awesome for those. They're not announced yet, but I'll talk about those later on. So yeah, more conducting gigs would be awesome. More composition works. I'm writing a solo oboe percussion work at the moment, which is really cool. I have an orchestra piece being re-performed later in the year, so it's been nice to step back into that piece and do some revisions for that. So yeah, that's a big goal of mine, obviously, is more creative work, to be finding more opportunities for my conducting and my composition. My next big goal with the year is to read more. I already read pretty well, not great, but I get through 10 or so books a year usually. I set myself a goal last year to read 14 books, which I think I ended up reading 15 or 16. So yeah, super keen to try and match that or beat that. I want to keep myself honest, and so I'm going to make some Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts about the books that I'm reading. that, keep myself honest. Like, I feel like if I'm making content around the books that I'm reading, hopefully it means that I like look back and go, oh yeah, I really need to like finish that book and share with people what I thought about it. So that's one of my other goals. The next goal of mine is to be creating a little bit more content. I haven't been posting any long form videos on YouTube in a long time, only just like conducting things. So I'd really like to post some more videos. I want to talk about my library, which is behind me right now. That's the next video I'm actually going to record. I thought it might be interesting. I live in a 1-bedroom flat that's very small. So I thought it'd be interesting for people to know what scores I do have, because I can't keep a big collection. And it means that I don't really keep a lot of the kind of staples. I have kind of like some interesting pieces in my library. So I thought it would be cool to talk about those, share them with you, and share about some of my like favorite pieces, and talk about my library. I also have been really getting into investing, and I don't want to be like, oh, I'm coming up with all my like crypto videos. That's not me at all. But I just thought it would be interesting to talk about money, because I've always been good at it. I've always like been a good saver, and I've always invested a little bit over the years, but I really took it seriously last year, knowing that I was leaving the job. I thought like, how can I put aside and set myself up financially so that when I go into this period of having less stable income, I at least have like a cushion there. I have like some investments in place, so I feel like one day when they, compound, that I'm in a okay position. And so I just thought it would be really interesting to talk about that from a perspective as an artist, to talk about my financial portfolio, how I got there. As I said, I put a lot of work into it. So I just think that would be something really interesting. And from like finance content, um, that I've seen, there isn't a lot of people talking about it from an artist perspective, where, your income isn't steady, you don't have the same paycheck, and, often artists are either working other jobs or living basically on the poverty line. So I'm, yeah, really passionate about that. And I just thought if I can share some knowledge that I've learned through this process of investing more and trying to invest ethically and sustainably, that, hopefully it inspires somebody to sort their finances out or to assist them in their financial journey. So that's another type of content that I want to produce. I, of course, will be talking more about music. So if there's any topics that you want to hear specifically, maybe it's like I've done videos in the past about Richard Wagner, Richard Strauss, so maybe it's like about a composer. I've done videos about like what conductors do or how to write music, like maybe that might be of interest to people. If you're curious, please do let me know, like comment, email, however you want to get in touch with me. Because yeah, I'm just trying to kind of make a whole lot of interesting, what I think is interesting videos about the work that I make, and I'm just curious to know what people want to learn and want to know about. And my final goal for the year is I'm going on a massive trip later in the year. I was fortunate enough to receive some inheritance from a family member who passed away a couple of years ago. And I'm putting that money towards a massive trip with my mum. So I'm going away with my mum to Europe for about 5 weeks. And then I'm going to Japan for 3 weeks, which if you've looked at my content, you'll see that I've been to Japan a number of times. So I'm super excited to return to Japan. I'm going there with my partner, which is really, really cool. And I want to dip my toe in making some content while I'm overseas. I don't know if I want to like fully vlog every day, but like I want to attempt vlogging. I want to kind of like look into documenting my time overseas. I really like this idea that I've seen in some YouTube videos recently, where people are talking about just documenting your life and the advantage of creating vlogs and putting it on the internet and just having that documentation. As an artist, that like really interests me. It's sort of, I journal all the time, and it's really useful to like go back and see what I was inspired by and see what I've seen, and the world that I've explored. So I think that would be really fun. It would be fun for me. Hopefully it's fun for other people to watch, but I think ultimately it would be fun for me to do that. And as some of you may know and have noticed from my posting, is that I am a Disney adult. And I say that like completely unshamelessly. I'm really proud of it. And I'm going to Disneyland Paris for the first time with my mum later in the year. And that's going to be really special, of course, being with my mum. My mum, who's in her 70s, is the reason that I love Disney. We went as kids. She made sure that me and my sister both got a trip to LA when we were for our 10th birthday. And ever since then, I've been hooked. Like we've been to Tokyo Disneyland before. We went to LA together a year ago. So it's like very special for me and my mum to go to Disneyland. And neither of us have been to Disneyland Paris. So I'm going to create a little bit of content around that. And I don't want to just be like, oh, here's what I'm doing. Here's, how you get on this ride and this is the food that you eat. Because that content is everywhere. And I don't think that's really my style. But what I'm interested in doing is looking at it from the perspective of a man in his 30s going without any kids, but going as an artist and going as a musician and what that kind of exploratory experience is like, right? Like there's this quote by Umberto Eco, my favorite author, who talks about Disneyland as being the Sistine Chapel of the 20th century, or the Sistine Chapel of America, or something like that. And I find that really fascinating. It's like, it's gaudy, it's garish, it's imitation, but it's also artistic. It's also immersive. From a sound perspective, it's really fascinating the things that they achieve there musically or with, sound effects and that sort of thing. So I think it's just interesting. Ultimately, it's just me wanting to document my experience in the parks, but I am also interested in talking about it from a little bit more of a kind of artistic, academic perspective of the sort of phenomenological experience of exploring the Disney parks. Because I'll be going to Paris and then I'll be going with my partner to both Disney Sea and Tokyo Disneyland. The kind of parks that I guess are my home parks, because I've gone there the most. So watch this space. It might not be your thing, so feel free to just ignore those videos, or it might absolutely be your thing, or you might be curious to know my perspective on this sort of cultural phenomena that has really kind of exploded over the past couple of years during COVID. So yeah, that's my other goal for this year. So 2026, it's going to be a fascinating year for me. Not to get too woo-woo, not that being woo-woo at all is a bad thing, I think. I think it's a really special, important thing, and magic is alive and well and in the universe. But, it's a big year astrologically. There's a lot of change in the air. There's a lot of change in the air geopolitically and all that sort of thing. So I don't know. I just hope that this year is going to be a really interesting, fascinating year for me. I'm really interested in documenting it more, putting it on the internet, putting it on YouTube and sharing it with people, and being able to look back and look at this life that I've created for myself this year and taking this plunge that I've taken by quitting my job. So looking forward to sharing it with you, and keep tuned for the next video. Bye.